Let me get one more bite.
Too late. We're already live. All right. So we are live, but what are you having?
Oh, just some chicken tikka masala. Some
Okay,
basmati
I'm
rice.
having my own invention. This is my own recipe. I
Is
made it
that
up.
one of your desserts or
Yes,
okay?
it's egg whites, bananas, lots of sweetener, cinnamon, little bit of salt, and 5 minutes in the microwave. Yeah, very high protein, low calorie dessert. Very sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, before we talk about what we're going to talk about today, I have to address this. What the hell is up with this?
No, and then Fatima. Oh no, I forgot to change my profile picture. Yeah, sure, Fatima. Sure. Oh
I will
no,
ban you. What the hell is this? See what I'm eating? This is what I'm. This will never happen. What is this?
that's Fat
What the?
Armin.
Why fat Armin? Why not fat Susanna?
Fat
Okay,
Susanna isn't even that fat.
can we ban Queen Fabi? No.
We could put her on a temporary ban. I
Hmm.
mean, we could ban her. I mean, we need her too much to have it be permanent.
Damn it.
Just put her in. Should we put her in timeout?
No. No. But I'm not happy.
Yeah. It's even the icon. Yeah. It's just too much.
Okay. Queen Fabi, you change that next time. Next time, if this is not changed, you get a timeout, and then the third time you get a ban. Okay. All right.
I know, right? Ooh, you tell him, Susie. Fatima, I'm not going to give you the verbal abuse that you want so badly.
Oh, there you go. If you keep doing this, you're not gonna get verbal abuse. If you want verbal abuse, you have to change the profile pic.
Yeah. You have to beg for it. And change your profile. It could be Fat Susanna. I don't mind.
Yeah, make it fat Susanna. What the hell?
Fat Susanna is like, just has a rounder face.
There we go. Fine, I'll change. Okay. Deborah is saying, "Ooh, but hurt much." Deborah, I'll ban you as well. You know, I could ban you as well. I could ban all of you.
All of our mods are on the chopping block.
But so loving it. But by the way, we can't. Don't say this right now. Don't read this because we're streaming on Twitch as well. By the way, link to our Twitch in the description. And Twitch is banning this word.
SIMP?
Yeah.
What?
Is bullying.
Wait, so how are we going to talk about our SIMPs?
Apparently, I don't know what I'm not very clear about it. If you use it in a way that is meant to be an insult, you could get that's ban worthy. But I don't trust these people to know whether something is an insult or not. But Twitch is now banning INCEL and also SIMP.
Wow.
So yes. Exactly, Ghost Bunny. What should we call? Oh, Ghost Bunny. So what should we call Ghost Bunny now?
It's love. Yeah, and we're on Twitch right now, so
yeah, we can't say it. We're streaming on Twitch.
We got to come up with a new word, our own personal word for it.
Yeah, we need to come up, guys. Come up with some ideas. Anyway, what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about a very controversial new policy that was highlighted in a website called Campus Reform. And so basically, Cornell University, one of the most prestigious universities in America, has a flu vaccine requirement for its students. Given the beer bug pandemic, getting a flu vaccine, not the vaccine that will be coming out for the beer bug, but just regular flu, is a requirement for students. And they released some of their policies regarding this requirement, and it's raised some eyebrows. So basically, wait, let me get it going. Cornell offers, quote unquote, person of color exemption for flu vaccine requirement.
Wow. Say it with
Wow.
me. Wow. Wow.
But here's the deal. So this website is raising the alarm on the wokeism. I'm not sure if this is the case. So we're going to look through, some of the language, some of the ways that they phrase this policy, because I don't know if this is actually the case. And we can think through it together. We're going to be skeptical.
So this might not be woke gone wrong. This might be anti-woke gone wrong.
Yes.
Right? But if you read the title,
you wouldn't know that.
And you decided that this is definitely woke gone wrong without actually, digging into it, then you are anti-woke gone wrong. You are anti-woke gone wrong. Anyway.
Okay. So I thought first we should look at this website, and then we're going to look at the policies itself, and we're going to dissect this language in this policy. So Cornell offers person of color exemption for flu vaccine requirement. Now here's the deal. When we talk about our sources, Armin, what do? We talk about the biases of our sources. We're honest and upfront with our audience about the biases of where we're getting information. Did a little investigation, okay? Campus Reform is certainly a right-wing website.
I don't trust the title. I don't trust the title.
So here's the deal. They have definitely an agenda, or I don't saying an agenda sounds uncharitable, but they have a bias towards anti-left-wing stuff.
Why is it uncharitable? Reform is in the title. They obviously are not a reporter. They're an activist group, not like a you wouldn't put reform in your name if you're like just a news website, no?
Yeah, well, they're actually saying that they're monitoring the efforts to reform campuses. So they have a that's their bias. I was looking up their credibility. According to, I think it's just like mediabias.com, like there was one instance where they've posted claims that couldn't be proven to be true before. But this article in this website definitely has a right-wing spin. So we're going to see, is their interpretation of this wokeism gone wrong, or is it anti-wokeism gone wrong? So, I should zoom in. This is, oops, nope, wrong tab. Okay. Students at Cornell University can use their status as a person of color to be exempt from the university's vaccine requirement. Quote, students who identify as Black, Indigenous, or as a person of color, or BIPOC, may have personal concerns about fulfilling the compact requirements based on historical injustices in current events, end quote, explained Cornell's Health Vaccine Requirements FAQ. Students can send a private message to Cornell Health in order to request a non-medical or non-religious exemption for the immunization. For more information, the FAQ links to a page, quote, especially for students of color, which is meant to help minority students concerned about the flu vaccine requirement. That reminds me, I need to open this. So we recognize that due to long-standing systemic racism and health inequities in this country, individuals from some marginalized communities may have concerns about needing to agree to such requirements, explains the page. For example, your reactions. For example, historically, the bodies of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, BIPOC, have been mistreated and used by people in power, sometimes for profit or medical gain, end quote. The university, therefore, considers it, quote, understandable that the current compact requirements may feel suspect or even exploitative to some BIPOC members of the Cornell community, end quote. Nevertheless, Cornell strongly encourages minority students to receive immunizations. Quote, away from campus community, BIPOC individuals are not as likely to have access to preventative services or quality health care, continues the page. The systems, services, and policies being implemented at Cornell seek to address these inequalities as well as other differential impacts, end quote. Go ahead.
That sounds wokeism gone wrong, no?
Well, let's get their summary of it.
Okay.
And then we're going to look at the language of this policy itself.
Okay.
And it should be clear that part of the language that they're getting from this is from the vaccine policy. And then part of the language that they're getting from this is from a separate page that addresses concerns of specific minority individuals. But
okay, I just heard like a wave of insanity. I don't know how you could like what I'm gonna hear next to be like, oh, okay, never mind. It has to be something I can't even imagine.
Have you
what are you gonna
well, before we finish this, because we're almost done just looking at this take on it.
Okay.
What seemed the most insane to you?
All of it? Wait. First of all, vaccine exemptions, if they're not medical, are insane to begin with.
Yes.
Right? Religious ones, non-religious ones, every single one of them. If they're not medical, they're already in cuckoo land. Okay? Then now okay, now we have on top of that the most I don't know how to describe the most insane excuse I've ever heard in my entire life for vaccine exemptions. This might remind you other people's bodies before you were even born was subjected to experiments and other things, and is this like cause generational trauma that they're referring to?
I think that's part of it. So
this is coming from a university,
one of the most preeminent universities in the country.
Yeah. Do they play Assassin's Creed, these people? Do they think like memory is held in the DNA or something?
Oh my god. I don't play that game, so I was like, wait, what?
Is that what they think? They think like the experiences of your ancestors are somehow tied, like get memorized in your genes, and somehow your experiment like
okay, well,
this is like
Armin,
absolute racism.
Talking about generational trauma is like a whole huge, extremely complicated subject that we
it's
can't
not it's insane and it's dumb. It doesn't exist. Generational poverty doesn't exist.
The way
generational trauma doesn't exist.
I think I could challenge you on that, but I need to refresh myself on my science. Because the ways in which people are resilient towards stress does have generational implications. But again, I need to go refresh myself on what I've learned previously. And also when people talk about generational trauma, there's a tendency to talk about a lot of different things. And some of them are completely ineffable, and some of them are more likely to be able to be measured and quantifiable.
Okay.
But that's like
any effects that you're referring to, it's it's like tiny relative to the influence of you telling people you have generational trauma. Okay, that will convince you more that you have generational trauma than the minuscule effect of whatever you just referred to.
I don't.
You know I'm right.
No, I don't. I don't know that. I don't know how minuscule it is. There's a lot more that I need to revisit and learn about
the
it.
disadvantages of these communities is mostly socioeconomic. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? My mom had a lot of trauma, okay, in her life. The only time none of that got transferred to me, like a lot of trauma. The only time that it ended up having traumatic effect on me is when she told me about them, okay? Then I was traumatized, okay? I wasn't inherently experiencing that trauma just because she went through it. I mean, come on. This is insane. Anyways.
I really don't want to get into a whole discussion about what is and is not generational trauma right now, because that could be described as generational trauma right there. It's not anyways, okay, we're focusing. We should talk about this some other time though, because I think it's really interesting and it's quite polarizing. But
this is more in line with these ideas are more because people are trying to, like, there is an agenda. Like, it's more like Occam's razor to me suggests that that generational trauma all of a sudden become a thing when these movements are becoming more loony. It seems like to me it has more to do with trying to make these movements and these ideologies more relevant and making the trauma of the past be as significant today. I mean, based on, like, what's more likely? Like, I mean, come on. Like, it's like, just like Occam's razor to me suggests that the fact that these are becoming relevant now, generational trauma and crap like that, is because of making these movements more relevant and kind of suggesting that maybe we haven't made any progress at all. And because there's not enough racism to go around for everybody to think that to feel relevant, you have to bring the racism from the past and make it relevant today. Maybe I'm wrong.
Where you're coming from. I'm thinking about something that is much more biologically derived.
Come on, this kind of no. Oh my God, this is nothing. This is Assassin's Creed level science. Okay.
No. I'm talking about like stress responses.
Okay, but we could talk about that. But there's nothing that in your changes in your stress responses. Come on. All right. Let's move on.
No, like I said, this is something I've learned about years ago, and I need to go.
There's nothing that changed with your genetic code, which is when you're born. If your parents went through trauma, your connectome is not going to get influenced by that. What do you mean? Like, you're talking about what else is there that go from the parents to the children, other than their DNA?
Your predisposition.
So that's
towards
that.
Biological and hormonal processes.
How would that reflect itself in the DNA?
I mean, I don't know how it reflects itself in the DNA. I'm not.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. Like, okay, those hormonal things, whatever, everything you mentioned is hormones around the cells, which is not going to get transferred from the mother to the child. You have an egg, you have a sperm, you get fertilized. It moves, it grows, it moves on.
You know how much the woman's stress response is? Well, there's a...
While they're pregnant.
Yeah.
While they're pregnant. Yes,
yeah,
I know that.
That's part of it.
I know that. Yes, but that's... Okay, but that will not... Okay, you just need 2 generations and all of that will be eliminated. Okay? If the mother is pregnant, she's going through trauma, that will have an impact on the infant. Okay? Right? But for that impact to also transfer to the next child, the second child has to feel the trauma while she's pregnant again. This is not generational trauma. That's complete. This is what pseudoscience does. They just refer to something that is slightly scientific, like something that is scientific, and just use that, and then they expand it to things like they're like, oh, this is science because this is true. Like, well, that is true, but this is not what you're saying. Anyways, we're getting off track.
Table this discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to respond. Sorry.
No, and I think we should talk about it more when I'm better prepared, because I could completely change my opinion. Maybe you would change your opinion if we're both presented with better evidence, because that's how we work here. So, okay, so last paragraph. One Cornell undergraduate who spoke to campus reform on the condition of anonymity said that, quote, all students deserve equal treatment regarding what healthcare choices they are allowed to make at Cornell, end quote, because students of all identities have personal concerns about taking a mandatory vaccine, quote, having a policy that singles out BIPOC students for requesting an exemption is unfair to other students. And then it says campus reform contacted Cornell University for more information and will update this article accordingly. Presumably, they have not heard more because this was first published on the 7th. So let's look at some of the language of this. Wait, where did this go?
This is racism if it's true. You're giving people of color less healthcare.
Wait, I want to find the main page because this is.
Can you come and say, like, my teacher demanding that I do my homework is like bringing back generational trauma? Like with the teachers, like, why didn't you submit your project on time? And you could be like, you know what? This is like my ancestors experiencing the slave masters asking my ancestors to get their work done, or there will be consequences. So technically,
Armin, there are anti-racist arguments against homework. You think there aren't?
Oh my God.
Of course there are.
Wait.
Ibram X. Kendi wants to get rid of like formal testing and have students not even graded, rewarded or recognized for their like willingness to learn. They're engaged, like
so let's take this all the way.
They're like anti-standardization. This is making a generalization. Many are against standardization itself because the standardization tends to reveal some disparities, some discrepancies that they don't like, and it's not that there's anything like saying that there might be something behaviorally or culturally derived is not okay. So they just say that the test of standardization itself is racist or replicating systems of racism. That's a generalization. Other people argue things differently, but that is an argument that I have seen from prominent.
I know these things are this whole woke thing. I don't think it's ever going to take over. Okay. But if it does, I'm going to move to the United States. I'm going to get a job. Wait, can you tell your boss that he can't fire you? Like, I don't know. Like, this is for education. Is Ibram Kendi going to take this all the way to the workforce? Because technically they could say, this is kind of slavery, right? Like because technically you could say that wage labor is slavery because I need food to eat.
Oh, you want to go all commie on it? You want to go all...
I mean, technically, you can do that. I mean, technically, you could do that, can't you? Can't you be like, you need to provide me with the basics without my performance at work mattering? Because as a person of color, if you don't pay me enough, like maybe you could start paying me more if my performance is good, but I could just not show up to work and you still have to pay me, because if you don't pay me, then I can't eat. And this is generational trauma, is reminding, like, this is what my ancestors were starved if they didn't perform. So you have to pay me.
Ghost Bunny is right. Most employers in the United States are at will employment. They don't need a reason to fire you.
Well, that's slavery. Then you could say that's shit.
Oh my God.
You could say that that's.
Can we focus?
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying these line of reasoning, slippery slope. Yeah, go on.
Well, you're just taking it to the absurd. I understand. Okay, so when I was looking through this and I was trying to pick apart You know, how much of this is true? Is campus reform being honest in the way they're talking about this? I found this page. Here are the health requirements FAQ. And if you scroll down to the bottom, are exemptions from Cornell's immunization requirements ever granted? So here we have some information. Here we have information on medical exemptions. And of course, I mean, this is not the focus of this stream, but this is something we would equally condemn.
We should equally condemn. I failed to do that because we are used to religious
privilege.
Yeah, because you know how shocking, guys, in the live chat, if you see the POC exemption and you think that's insane, but you don't have the same reaction to religious exemption, this is because religion has been normalized. Because the religious exemption is even more. Actually, the religious exemption is even more insane. Okay, you know why? Because the whole generational trauma, for that to be true, the natural laws of the universe doesn't have to bend itself for that. Like that's even if that's wrong, it's not wrong.
It doesn't acknowledge divine authority.
Divine authority. It doesn't acknowledge that there's without evidence that there's a conscious creator of the universe. And my sky daddy says that I don't need a vaccine, so therefore you don't give me vaccine, right? So if you are triggered by woke nonsense and you're less triggered by religious nonsense, you're just like me. I felt to be less triggered I felt to be as triggered as well, because that shows how normalized insane ideas like religion have become, right? It is less likely for religious exemptions to make sense than the whole woke one, because at least the woke one is within the realm of natural laws and everything, But go on.
So
material world, I mean, yeah.
Yes, we're materialists here. So this is about that they object to immunization due to their religious beliefs. Explain in your own words why you're requesting this exemption. Describe the religious principles that guide your objection. Indicate whether you're opposed to all immunizations, and if not, the religious faith that prohibits particular ones, and upload it to the web portal. And look at this. Philosophical, political, scientific, sociological objections to immunization do not justify an exemption.
So you have to, if you have an ideology,
You're sociological. Let's talk about sociology. Is that not some of the
POC stuff?
Exactly. But we're going to... so here's where I find some things to be contradictory, and where I find the language to be... Because this is a mandatory flu vaccination during the largest pandemic we've faced in a century, I find the opacity of the language that's used here. I'm trying to be charitable, but I have a hard time believing that it's not intentional, given the gravity of the situation we're in. And this is a major contradiction to what we're about to get into.
Okay, we got a super chat though. And here.
Dr. Caesar gave us $5. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Men having periods and babies is not in the realm of reality. Disagree.
Well, I disagree with you, Render unto Caesar, because men and women are labels that we have for genders, not for sex.
Yeah, if you're talking about male and female, that's different. Those are sexes.
Yes. So you are mixing up a word that is most like a mix of biology and society, and social, construct. It's a mix, unlike some people say that it's only a social construct. No, it's also mixed with biology. But you're mixing a word that is used in reference to societal norms and mixing it with biology. Like, do you think biologists talk about men and women? No, they talk about males and females.
Male and female.
Right? So you're mixing two different topics with each other. and that's why you're wrong.
Okay, if you're talking about males having periods, babies, that's different.
Yeah, you're talking about men. Men is like a. Yeah.
Anyways,
Don't mix gender with sex. Anyways, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, but we disagree.
Yes. Cool. So, emphasis on, I love philosophical, political, scientific, or sociological objections. So yeah, let's think about the sociological part for a second. Whoops. Other exemption for flu vaccination requirement only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's where it goes. The students who identify.
Zoom in.
Okay. Am I on the right tab? Yeah. Okay. Students who identify as Black, Indigenous, or as a person of color, BIPOC, may have personal concerns about fulfilling the compact requirements based on historical injustices and current events, may find this information helpful. And then it says, to apply for a non-medical religious exemption to the flu vaccine requirements, students should send us a message here. Okay, but let's focus on this part for a second. Okay, so here's where the language is muddy, and I'm trying to determine if they are or are not granting an exemption. Okay, because this language does not say that, it does not flatly say in this sentence that they can. It says that they may find this information helpful in considering it. Okay.
Right.
So here's where I'm trying to find some nuance in, is this a true identity-based exemption or not? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, however, the fact
they immediately follow it with a non-medical, non-religious exemption application information. Do you see what I'm getting at?
I think they're like, we don't know how big of a deal this is. You apply, and then we'll decide how big of a backlash we're going to get if we don't give this to you. And an individual, we don't know. We don't know how much of a headache you're going to be able to cause for us. So you apply for this, and then we'll look at you, and we'll look at your application, and then evaluate how big of a threat you are to us. And if you're a big enough threat, then we'll give you an exemption.
Yeah, and this is like a little bit of
Did I evaluate that? I evaluated that perfectly.
That was better than what I figured, or maybe not better, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. This is a side note, but BIPOC to me, and my familiarity in all the circles I used to run in, etc., never meant Black, Indigenous, or as a person of color. It was specifically a subgroup of people of color. It was Black or Indigenous people of color. So the way that this is phrased, when it's Black, Indigenous, or as a person of color, like that or are these people not considered?
No. See, here the hierarchy, the way it works is that the black people
Armin, I'm fully aware of the hierarchy.
Do I have to everything I say is not? Do you know we have an audience, right? You understand that we have other people.
There are people watching this right now.
So I know you're very self-centered and all, but maybe I'm not saying everything that I'm saying is not for your benefit. Maybe there are other people that I might be wanting to say this for. You could. Is that okay? Is that allowed?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the hierarchy. Well, since you know it, you give us a hierarchy. Well, I'll read the super chat. What's the hierarchy?
Okay. Well, the idea.
Oh wait, here's a super chat. We got a $3 super chat just for saying I stand correct. That's great. Amazing. Wow. We have the best community.
Thank you for being willing to listen. And the fact that you wanted to openly acknowledge that you changed your mind is something we celebrate here. So
yeah, and you paid $3 just to say that you changed your mind. Thank you so much. This is
This is why
great.
we're trying to make changing your mind cool, you guys.
Cool. Yes.
It's cool. It's sexy.
Right. I
Yeah.
try to. Our live chat reminds me that I haven't changed my mind on something for like it's like I have to learn from our live chat. But yeah, go on. What were you saying? Hierarchy.
Okay, so basically, the idea, well, part of the way that this is conceived is so American centric. So you have to put on your American centric hat, right? So part of the idea is conceived that under the systems of racism and historical grievances that were present in our country, America, my country, I should say, that Black and or Indigenous people have experienced further levels of systematized oppression than other racial or ethnic minority groups in this country. Now, the scholars like to go battle it out on who has it worse. Was it the Black
I just wanted
Americans
the
or was it the
hierarchy.
Indigenous Americans? Like they're in conflict over who actually gets the top place. Like, and it's pretty actually interesting to see them like go at each other over that. But and part of the using this term to more precisely specify downwards into the intersectional theory is also to highlight how these groups have been oppressed by other
Right.
minority groups that fit within POC themselves.
I'll just summarize it.
Oh my
Black,
God.
Indigenous, rest of people, rest of POCs, people of persons of color, people of color.
No, but people they don't agree that it's Black.
In Canada, Indigenous, then Black, then rest. In Canada, the people at the top that get all the intersectionality points, if they're also gay and whatever. Well, no, not all. Like the high based on ethnicity, the highest intersectionality points goes to Indigenous people, then Black, then the rest of the people of color. In the United States, Black first, Indigenous, then the rest of the people of color. It's very interesting.
I don't think that's firmly decided in the United States.
I know this is just like just like right now is it seems like mostly like this. Okay, it's like the people are fighting over these things for some reason, which is interesting because now because of all this hierarchy, you see concepts like brown privilege being introduced. You heard that, right? People being told that they have brown privilege because they don't have it as bad as, I mean, they're not white, so that's great, apparently, but they're not Black, so they have to check their privilege relative to Black people, which is amazing. Okay, can you bring that back? Actually, one thing I wanted to highlight.
Well, okay. On this page?
Yes, right here. You see non-medical, non-religious exemption. Oh yeah, there's definitely a low privilege. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Like they are.
Mars, you are the bastion of it. No, I'm kidding. I love you.
Like
Mars.
the wokey crowd is like this close to just throw
the Asian American
community, the Asians right with the white people. Be like, you guys are just like, yeah, like
Armin. That's already happened. They openly call them white adjacent.
Yeah, but adjacent is still like they're gonna at some point they're gonna be like, you know what?
I love you, Mars. Wait, so what did you want to highlight? You were talking.
Oh yeah, when it says like the non-medical, you know, a lot of people keep saying that this whole woke stuff is becoming like a religion or a religion. I don't like it when they say it's a religion now. I prefer when they say it's like a religion, because for you to be a religion, you need to have belief in supernatural, something supernatural, right? Within your dogma. But this whole, I mean, this is like kind of making it. If the level of insanity, if the only that you required for you to be exempt from taking something as important as a vaccine was religion, and now the only thing that can compete with that is wokeism, it kind of gives credit to the idea that wokeism is becoming more and more like a religion.
Armin, it's just a way of life.
Okay, we're getting our streams confused with each other.
I know, yeah. Wait,
but the privilege, but the people that keep telling others to check their privilege is now getting close to the same level of religions. So we at the Atheist Republic are keep trying to fight to take down religious privilege. But now, not only that's not going away, there are other forms of insane privileges creeping back up. But anyways, go on.
Well, Onionologist brings up a good point. They, meaning Asian Americans, also don't count at the Asians. Or no, he's talking about like this brand of critical theorists or school administrators who take on that ideology. Saying they also don't count I would say they don't count Asian Americans as people of color when looking at enrollment. That varies, but there was a recent example, and I believe it was a Seattle school district or a school district in Washington, where they openly on a graph just lumped Asian students with white students. Like, it was just in plain text, like right there, because they needed to demonstrate discrepancies in the testing of POC students. But to be able to do that, you have to not treat Asians as POC because they test better than white people on average. So it's like, oh, Habibi, like, and it was so funny. It was like a Twitter moment, like all like the Southeast Asian community was like, when can I get my white privilege? Like, and everyone was like, welcome to the community, you guys. Like, and Razib Khan, he's so funny. He had just was hilarious on Twitter talking about being white, and being welcomed into the white community as a Southeast Asian. So funny.
Yeah, I've been told that I have seen conversations behind my back on whether that I'm like spreading racism, but whether or not I can be called out for it, because maybe because I'm not white, they would be racist if they come out and openly call me out for it. So they were deciding whether it's okay or not to come after me. And one of their responses
based on your race.
Yes. So they were like, Armin is like saying racist things. We should like fight within our own Atheist Republic community, which a branch of it that just left us at some point. But they were like, he's saying racist things, but is it okay to go after him? Because he's a person of color. And then the responses apparently the consensus was, he can pass as white. And because I can pass as white, because I'm not that dark skin, and because I can pass as white, then it's okay to come after me. That was the deciding factor.
It's so stupid, which is the most racist line of thinking ever. He's like, he's not dark enough, so that means that we can go after him.
Yeah,
what? Not white. You're literally Asian. 2, like, it's not the quality of your ideas. It's not like the evidence that you're bringing forth. It's literally, where your heritage. Are you kidding me? Anyways, Mars is bringing up a point. Harvard is discriminating against Asians in applications now. No, yes, they're being sued over it because of their affirmative action policies.
Oh, this is Bish. Bish is saying something.
Where Bishamontan. In good news, affirmative action tried to come back to the alleged capital of wokeism in California. And we overwhelmingly struck it down again. Yeah,
there are ways to do affirmative action, right. Okay, like
we need to focus on this topic, though.
There are ways to do it right.
I do want to talk about affirmative action sometime, because I like Glenn Lowry's take on affirmative action a lot. Murtad is saying, reminds me of that Family Guy meme when they pull out the skin color chart.
Yeah.
Ask in this case to check if you're allowed to be racist. Oh my gosh. And that's assuming that you were saying something racist, not something that they were construing as racist.
I actually realized that there was something I was catching some racism in me. Are we done with that? Can I talk about it? Like I noticed.
I'm just focusing on you until we go back to this.
Okay. Well, if we have time at the end of the stream, because we want to keep this under an hour, I could let you know that I caught some racism in me, and then I realized that maybe no. But we could talk about that if we have time. But let's finish this.
Okay. Here we go. So this is where I'm trying to think very carefully in this sentence, because the sentence does not explicitly say you can get a vaccine exemption because of past historical injustices. It just says you may find this helpful in considering it. However, they immediately follow with to apply for a non-medical or non-religious exemption. Here's how you do it. So let's keep this in mind. When they're talking about this information, you go to this page. They give you some more information on what their vaccine requirement is. And then here is where they get... Oh boy, Matthew. You said that he was racist towards Inuits. Is that even true? That's
I don't know.
I've never heard you talk about the Inuit community. I don't know. Anyways, no. So let's look at this paragraph. We recognize that due to long-standing systemic racism and health inequalities in inequities. Oh, excuse me. We need to, it's important that it is inequities. They use this word and not inequalities.
Not inequalities, yeah.
Okay.
But explain the difference to people. Very short, please. Don't give me an essay.
I think about how to do it more quickly. The simplest way to this might be too simple, would be to say inequity describes inequality of outcome versus inequality describes inequality of opportunity. Now that's very simplistic. It gets more nuanced, but we gotta.
Yeah, that's good.
There's other times we've talked about this.
Yes.
Okay, so health inequities in this country, individuals from some marginalized communities may have concerns about needing to agree to such requirements. For example, historically, the bodies of... Okay, wow, someone needs to edit this. The bodies of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color...
The bodies, they of Black. Read it the way... This is a university, by the way.
The bodies, the of...
The bodies of the Black. That's how... The bodies, the of Black. The bodies, the of Black. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
This is the university website, guys.
Yeah, Cornell. Guys, this is Cornell. Okay. Have been mistreated and used by people in power, sometimes for profit or medical gain. Okay, this is just a fact.
Yes, of course.
This is just a fact. Okay, let us be clear. And when we are talking about our objections to this, we are not denying. I would never deny that this is a fact. I'm too well educated.
I mean, the fact that you actually have to clarify that shows that our audience is half insane.
No, I am clarifying that because I don't want to be misconstrued as denying that reality.
Yeah, but it's kind of obvious, but we have to say it because people
I'm clarifying it because I'm already thinking about the people who will be uncharitable towards me.
Who? My guy had atheists saying Armin agrees with Jordan Peterson. No, he's just trying to trigger me. No. Anyways, let's continue.
That a good one. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So I'm just making my stance clear for the people who are uncharitable. It is understandable that the current compact requirements may feel suspect or even exploitative to some BIPOC members of the Cornell community. Now, I am trying to think of... I'm really trying to think about how this would feel exploitative. Like, I'm really trying to think about that. But additionally, recent
medicine. That is abuse? Like, how about, I mean, here's some scientifically proven preventative measures for you to avoid getting sick and for your community to get sick off of you. Oh, you think that's abuse? Okay, I guess never mind. Like, what? What? I
Yeah.
mean,
It's I don't there's a lot about past medical history that was legit exploitative. I don't know how saying you should get a vaccine may feel exploitative. I don't, but let me continue. Okay. Additionally, recent acts of violence against Black people by law enforcement may contribute to feelings of distrust or powerlessness. We know this history and validate the potential concerns it may raise. At the same time, we know that long standing social inequalities and health disparities have resulted in COVID, the beer bug. Excuse me, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm saying this in the beer bug disproportionately affecting BIPOC individuals. That's true. Higher percentages of individuals from these communities become infected with the beer bug, and health outcomes related to infection are often more serious. Away from campus community, BIPOC individuals are not as likely to have access to preventative services or quality health care.
Okay. So they needed more then.
Exactly.
Why are you giving them exemptions?
The systems, services, and policies being implemented at Cornell seek to address these inequalities as well as the differential impacts.
By doing the opposite of what you need to do. By doing the, I mean, given that like these people could carry disease and bring back to the communities that are suffering already more than other people, shouldn't they be more strict on making sure they get vaccines than other people? Like, wait, am I being racist by suggesting that? Like, hey, your communities are influenced by this more. We're going to double check to make sure you guys got it more than everyone else.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of the vaccines. Well, okay, I should be careful in my language here. I believe that in states like California, I could be wrong, I could be misunderstanding. I believe that in states like California, when the beer bug double dose vaccine comes out, that certain communities may be prioritized, exactly like how you're saying. Some people would say that that's anti-racist. Because
I mean, I kind of like the whole. I can't believe we're even discussing this. Like this seems like, you know how I read religious mumbo jumbo and people say to respond to it. I'm like, why would I respond to this?
Yeah.
Who's taking it seriously? Now I'm looking at a university publication, something by a university, and I'm like, are we seriously responding to this?
Not
like guys, medicine, like the idea of like, hey, medicine, providing medicine to people being considered abuse. Like, are we, the fact that we're entertaining that as something that could potentially be intelligent is bizarre to me. Like, what? And this is coming from a university. Guys, I can't see. I keep wanting to say, guys, you know, yes, wokeism is not taking over. It's not going to take over the United States and all that, but it's mainstream within certain areas. Okay, these are not contradictory positions. The fact that a university is influenced this much by suggesting that vaccine could be considered abuse. I mean, the university is becoming like, you know how we look at religious arguments and we point and laugh because, like, for example, religious exemptions, and we all agree that that should go away. Now, universities, the highest centers of learning in the United States, are suggesting that we need to have more nonsensical vaccine exemptions.
Yeah. Well, Vince, our good friend Vince at the Babylon Project, guys, go subscribe to the Babylon Project. He's saying people really, really estimate the crazy stuff going on campuses. And I know, Vince, you're in the thick of it right now. I graduated from college not too long ago. Yeah. And 2 years ago, I would have been like, Yeah, like, I wouldn't have batted an eye. Um, it's tough because I think there's a certain level of this that is reserved to campus culture, so to speak. But then in 2020, there's so many ways that I've heard people say we're all living on campus now, particularly with a wider proliferation of so-called cancel culture. Um, what is Murtad saying? Murtad is saying, if it is the case that they are giving them exemption, it seems that they are more. It seems they care more about some fringe woke feelings than the actual health of POC. That is, yeah.
Actually, that's very strategic of them. Kind of not nice, but strategic. To me, this shows that, like, because it's not that these universities themselves are this insane. It's because they can see who's in control and who's pressuring them, right? So for us, like when we look at this universities, like statements like this, I don't think that our response shouldn't be that. I think like this is like a measuring of what's happening behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Because these universities are very strategic in how to survive, how to make more money, how to not be under political pressure, right? So it seemed to me that suggests that the universities themselves are not the source of, at least there's the this is an indication of the pressure coming from somewhere else, and the fact that they have this influence, the pressure must be very high, and the fact that the pressure is very high means that there's a lot of power behind these movements. There's a lot of and that scares me, like where is this power coming from, right? And how much longer is it going to last? I mean, these are stuff, guys, again, most of the left looks at this. Most of the left looks at this and what is like, what the hell is this, right? I mean, most of the left knows vaccines are important. I mean, come on, don't deny. Like, I know we have a lot of right-wing people in the live chat, okay? And you think, oh, this is leftism. Most of the left looks at this and thinks this is insane, right? How is it that such a fringe group of wokes managed to exert this level of power and influence on universities and on so many different examples of corporate America and media? You had your hand up.
Murtad is saying they are pressured into going for the optics of caring rather than actually caring. Yeah, because it'd be covered across the board. I mean, when you look at this language, they are acknowledging they're trying to thread this needle very carefully. They're acknowledging the history. At the same time, they are addressing why it is arguably even more important for these communities to get vaccinated.
They're trying to come up with the least offensive way to try to tell them, you idiots, like, why are you even pressuring us for this? Like, this is, you guys are being racist, but like, you guys are denying the people that need this the most, the vaccine. And like, okay, take that, get as many people as you can to read this and come up with the least offensive way of communicating that, because we don't want to get sued. Guys, by the way, if you think these universities are dumb, they're not dumb. They just know, they're just trying to avoid the least amount of headache, and this is how they're going about doing it, right?
Yeah,
They're
Vincent,
like,
we don't have to convince the left that this is crazy. We have to convince them that it's more popular than they think.
yes, perfect.
Vince,
Yes, Vince.
kiss.
This is why you need to go and subscribe to the Babylon Project for
Yes.
some sanity. Okay,
Yes.
just search for that, and yeah.
So let's look at this last paragraph, and then we need to wrap it up because we have a board meeting.
Yeah.
The aforementioned inequities and injustices may lead some individuals to have reservations about testing and immunization, yet it is also important to acknowledge the critical role these measures play in protecting community health and well-being. In fact, they are likely to be especially helpful for BIPOC communities. For example, annual influenza vaccination is recommended for every individual 6 months or older who does not have any medical contraindications, as it is the best way to help protect against the flu. The vaccine has been shown to reduce the risk of flu illnesses, hospitalizations, and flu-related deaths. Those who get the vaccine not only protect themselves, but also the people around them who may be more vulnerable to serious flu illnesses, including infants, older adults, and those with underlying health conditions. They are designed to help students stay safe, and they are part of the quality healthcare students can access while on campus. We strongly recommend that students comply with these requirements. At the same time, we understand that someone may know the science and still feel distrusting of healthcare and may have additional questions.
So this is basically saying, come on, please. I know you could give us a lot of woke headache and make us not give you this vaccine, but please, for your own sake, don't do this to yourself and don't do this to your community. Think of the children in your community.
So
tiny POCs. Don't do this to them.
I don't find it that level of infantilizing. So I had a conversation with Marxist soccer.
No, I wasn't. No. I wasn't suggesting that. I was suggesting that universities begging them to look at this. You can give this again. You can get this exemption if you want, but we are telling you that this is a bad idea.
Yeah. So I had a conversation with Marxist soccer, who's been going hard against. He calls it woke anti-vax, and so I was looking.
We should have him on. By the way, he was gonna argue.
Yes, Stoney. I love Marxist soccer. I think his name is Nick. He said he's
interested in convincing me that communism is right. So we should we should do a capitalist versus communist debate with him.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart too. And he supports AR and sexy Kali. So that's what matters.
Even though we're capitalists.
Yeah, I think he might be the only Marxist that I ride with. At least someone that I know is a Marxist. Right. So I was having a conversation because I was, trying to be skeptical and be like, not be a anti-woke fear monger. I was saying, okay, check this part of the website. The language is muddled. It gives more info on historical issues to BIPOC, quote unquote, considering exemption. But I didn't interpret that as a full exemption. Clarity is needed. And then...
But the fact that it even suggests that they could get an exemption and the reasoning behind it is already ridiculous.
Yeah. So
let's not dismiss, you're just this is okay. So this is we have a pile of crap being offered to us here, and you're looking, Susanna, you're going and looking at it, and we're like, well, I guess we could remove this, and okay, fine, it's still a pile of crap, right? You just removed a tiny bit of it, right? It's still arguing that there's a potential for vaccine exemption based on the most dumbest reasons, second only to religious reasons.
Well, okay, just a second. And then so Blurrim called Millie saying this does leave the door open to people who can refuse vaccines for being BIPOC, but it does not appear to be standard policy. Only the religious one is.
Look at the new standards. Okay, this is so dumb, Susanna. Sorry.
Can I finish?
Okay, finish this, but this is too dumb.
And then Marxist soccer is saying it explicitly explains that BIPOC students are one category, that it may be legitimate. To me, this is still very, very bad, but maybe not quite explicitly a race-based exemption. For me, the only acceptable position is medical exemptions. Obviously, everything else is illegitimate and would be soft legitimizing anti-vax sentiments, in my opinion.
You know what you sound like, Susanna?
Oh boy.
You sound like these Islamic YouTube channels who say wait, under Islam, you could execute apostates. I'm like, yeah. And Susanna, you're like, well, we looked into it, and it's true that you could execute apostates, but only under an Islamic state, and only after the Sharia conditions are met. Only if there's judges and there's evidence and stuff, only then you could be executed for leaving Islam. Okay, Thank you for clarification, and thank you for validating, like showing us that yes, they believe in executing apostates. Like they are confirming it by saying that. So if the defense of all this nonsense is like, okay, there's not standard policy, they're saying that there's exemptions. There could be vaccine exemptions for people of color because vaccines could be abusive, because some other people before used people of color for experiments and stuff like that. So now all of a sudden this medicine that could help lives is considered abusive. Well, that's not standard policy, but there's a way to get an exemption, maybe. And like, okay, is that the defense? Well, thank you for confirming that they're actually considering this as an argument for vaccine exemption. Like, yes.
I mean,
The standard is so low. But go on.
I'm just trying to be accurate in the way I go about discussing this.
Okay. Cool.
No doubt.
The Babylon Project saying, ding, the new overlay.
Thank you, Vince.
Guess who designed it? I have so many skills. I don't understand. How could one person...
Wait, before we get into this, I just want to wrap up, okay? But Vince,
isn't it amazing?
Thank you for the compliment, because I know Armin really appreciates it.
I designed it myself.
Yeah, he's proud of it. He should be.
But again, how is it possible that one person has so many different skills?
Oh my god.
Like in so many different areas. Quit. I'm good. I'm putting you on timeout.
Oh no. Phoebe, no.
There we go.
Oh my god. No, you literally did just block her.
I didn't block her. I put her on timeout.
Our own mods are on the chopping block.
Didn't block her. No, guys are no. Yeah, I didn't block her.
You have so many skills because you have Hikmah.
Exactly.
Let us wrap up. Did you interpret this as, in fact, as campus reform claimed, solidly granting an exemption on the basis of racial or ethnic identity?
Sorry, say it again. I was looking at the compliments.
Oh my god!
People are complimenting me. People know. People see now. Like when you give Fatima the timeout, people now know who's in control here, and now they're giving me compliments. Okay, but go on. Sorry, say that again. I just like that everybody's falling in line. You just have to make an example of somebody, and then everybody else falls in line.
This is so toxic. So, did you interpret the policies and language that we just reviewed to grant solidly and explicitly an exemption on the basis of racial or ethnic identity?
No, but it's still ridiculous. It was still extremely ridiculous.
So, okay, so you're saying campus reform didn't
misrepresent? Right? Yes, they're biased. The right wing. Oh yeah, the right leaning website was biased. Shocker. Yes.
Yeah, but
let's get back to this. Armin is awesome. Armin getting cocky, well, justifiably so. Armin, you're right. Yes, good. I like this. I'm glad Armin isn't Muslim. He might try to start a caliphate if he was, and make examples.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah. I would, if I was Muslim, I would have ended the atheist movement by now. Like my Dawa team would have annihilated the entire. Yeah.
I think the Corzo family has some criticism of me, which is hilarious, given my background. Yeah, I know what the hell I'm talking about, guys. Okay, so you are on how I interpreted it. Can we focus for a second? I'm trying to wrap up.
Maga Hat Atheist saying, does Armin have a God complex? I think God has an Armin complex.
Oh, my God. I'm ending this broadcast.
No, go ahead.
So you came to the same conclusion that I did, that it's not as explicit as it was presented. Yeah, I was like, this is what I don't like. And this is why I'm saying I'm trying to be charitable, but I cannot, it's hard for me to believe that a university as preeminent as Cornell would leave so much muddy water in their in the policy language and verbiage of their mandatory vaccine during like the largest pandemic we've seen in a century. Like, it seems deeply irresponsible to me that they would leave this door open and leave it so opaque.
It's actually the smartest thing to do. I see what they're doing, because they can't. They have to leave some wiggle room.
I didn't say that it wasn't strategic. I said that it's irresponsible.
Yeah, but it leaves them, again, they are like kind of like between a rock and a hard place, and it doesn't, wherever you land on this, it's going to be, wherever you land on this, you're going to be in trouble. So you just have to figure out, how much, how much of a headache you're going to get. And I think they basically picked the right spot. The only again, this is not their fault. This is the environment that they have to operate in, right? So,
oh my gosh, wait, this is hilarious. I don't like if they force people to take vaccines. If they mandate vaccines, I take up arms. Well, this is the wrong channel for you, because Armin thinks that it should.
They're not going to mandate vaccines, and I think they should.
Yeah.
Okay. I, as a libertarian, have limits. People confuse libertarians with anarchists. Okay. I believe in government regulation as a libertarian, and I think that government has a role in many areas. And when you have a pandemic going on, I don't think people telling you that they don't want to take the vaccine I don't think that should be an option. Okay. We have the rest of the planet, cannot just wait behind to.
He's going full authoritarian.
No, I mean, there's certain things that you cannot just your dumb conspiracies should not be an excuse for you to harm the rest of the planet. Yes. Yeah, I'm a libertarian, and I think vaccines should be mandatory, not by private businesses, just by private businesses that are like, oh, if you don't have a vaccine, you come get. No, I think the government should register with the government that you vaccinated, and the government should send in the police after the people who are not vaccinated. I believe that, and if you think I'm not a libertarian, I still think I'm a libertarian. Okay, it's the cost.
Look at, they're tech fearing you, babe. They're tech fearing you. What are you gonna do about that? You gonna take that?
Not if I tech fear you first. Okay, you're not a libertarian, dictator Armin. Oh my god. No, none of you guys. I'm taking all your libertarian cards away from you, okay? Because you think libertarianism just means government. You guys think you guys are not libertarians. You guys think libertarianism means take the government out of everything, okay? No, there's roles for the government, including making sure we have a healthy society. Okay?
Yeah, no, I mean, you think that people should basically have their children taken away from them if they refuse to give them medical care, correct?
Yeah, it's the role of the government to protect its citizens, and if the citizens are tiny citizens that require parents to look after their best interests, if they're not vaccinating their children, I think you're not fit to be a parent. You need to, the government needs to get involved. Maybe your children should be taken away from you if you're not going to give them life-saving medicine.
Only one who's smart enough to effing get it. Anyways,
well, we got a super chat.
Yes, from
which we cannot read. You have to read.
We can spell it out. Thank you for the $5, Ghost Bunny. Ghost Bunny is saying my SIMP-ing will not be censored. Okay, we need to protest. How can you not SIMP for that smile and his nice hair? I freaking swoon.
Oh.
Angry emoji. Angry because of the restrictions
on
her SIMPing. Hashtag SIMP for Guru Armin.
Yes. You see what you're doing as to Twitch? Look at this beautiful message. We can't read it properly because of Twitch now.
Now that's
But
authoritarianism.
that's a beautiful message. Somebody screenshot that.
Well, this was interesting. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
if you don't know what we're talking about, go watch the beginning of this stream.
Yeah, Twitch has no rules for certain words. SIMP and INCEL and one other word, apparently. So we're just being careful. Great show, guys and gals. I'm out. Wait, you say great shows as if all of our shows are not great. Freedom,
Better than some others.
Armin, freedom. Yes, I'll listen to it again. That's how good it was. He already listened to it, and he's gonna listen to it one more time. All right. Subscribe! Of course, subscribe! What do you think I was going to say? Why do half of you watch these videos without subscribing? What is wrong with you? Oh, and also, guys, subscribe to our newsletter as well. Link in the description. You get a free copy of Why There's No God. A free copy of Why There Is No God if you subscribe to our newsletter. Link in the description. Do it!
Bye.